Hi. Hey. Jalo. Ay, no bad. Anybody nice. Yeah, I can't find you today. In Sierra Leone, for example, there are over 300,000 orphans. And if you know, our population is very small, so that's already a very huge percentage of children that don't have homes. But it's a long process to find these children homes. So I think interim care centers, orphanages, they all play their role. There needs to be somewhere to take these children immediately. So if you find a child on the street or a child get dumped at a dumpster, which I've heard here, like they just throw the child in a trash, a whole baby. Where do you take that child, right? You need some kind of interim care center. So yes, the situation at these centers might not be ideal because a child needs a family. A typical Sudu family are people who already have children, but maybe their children are much older now. So they're like in university or college or in secondary school. So they feel a sort of emptiness, you know. I believe a lot of people love taking care of children. They like to have company in the house. So it's usually a mother who has much older children or a single mother. If you look at foster care all over the world, let's take, for example, the US. A lot of foster children move from one house to the other, to the other. Like some children will go through like 5 families in just 1 year, right? So that's really concerning. So retention rate at 40% is the good average all over the world. With Sudu, we have an 80% retention rate. That means for most of our families, the children, from when we placed them back in 2019, they have not moved from those families.
I've been working with Sudu since early last year, and I offer counseling to the foster families in situations where they have emotional conflicts, behavioral issues with the children, and whatever challenges comes up. So Sudu would contact me and give me a background of what the situations are. I would go into the homes or meet with them at the office space, and then I'll find out from the parents separately what's going on, probe, and talk to the children as well. So I understand the angles, different angles, and then I support them. In Sierra Leone, we don't have like a formal foster care system, and Sudu is filling in that gap. So they work with children between the ages of 3 to 6, and they place them with foster families. And they offer training to these families. They don't just dump them there and like walk away. So they offer training to the families, holistic training. So they know how to deal with them emotionally, physically, psychologically, and things like that. Sudu has a curriculum, like a whole manual on different topics that the parents should be familiar with, for example. So fostering, the rights of a child, the obligations of caregivers, nutrition, common illnesses that they might face and encounter.
So we look at everything within the house and then within your life. So we make another selection, and the final part is a reference check. So it's a long process. They have to provide 3 people that can vouch that they can be good foster families. We meet those people, and those people say yes, like we have an interview process. This person will be a good foster family because of blah, blah, blah. And then the final process, even though like this is not part of the selection, they have to submit to a full medical review. That means full lab work and full physical. That means checking if you have any chronic illness. And for a lot of families, this is their first time ever getting like a full medical checkup. They're appreciative, but we've actually had families refuse. And if you refuse, we cannot place a child. Not because we're gonna force your hand. You don't have to do it. This is voluntary, but the only way we're going to know whether you can take care of that child if we know you're in good health, but doesn't mean that we're gonna eliminate you. So if we know you have a chronic illness, we might be able to support you with medication or treatment. All of our families, in the definition of Sierra Leone, are low-income families. So that means that they probably don't earn the average minimum salary for Sierra Leoneans, but they've been able to take care of these children, love on them. Some of these children, if you see them, they're so healthy from when we placed them, because some of them were really skinny, or they had a lot of like skin issues because they were not being well taken care of. But in a matter of months, you'll see full transformation. And I will say even that you can add to that accomplishment, a lot of our children have not been hospitalized. Actually, none of our children have been hospitalized.
There are so many picking the way they need help. They need help through Sudu. They need help through other organizations. Way Nakumbra, Sudu Nakumbra. We don't hold sensitized meetings with the community people. Then they look forward to Sudu. Make them can, for make them see say, then take some of them picking them, where then go able for care, then go na proper caring. So the community sensitization, that don't be done. I don't hold a series of meetings. And then they come to me every time, Chief, where's Sudu? Chief, where's Sudu? I mean, can tell them, say, when I wait, then they come.
So, any other possible question? Anybody when they were interested, you can come for. And after they now, Sudu said, the full in hand. He said, okay, them people that they don't get it. Don't left them now, let it continue.
I know they call extra picking, say, can't get water for me. They go get water for me. They go, can't get me like Mohammed Kalon Wate. Now from Kenema in Pomot.
Well, like a way outside, Sudu, since we take Mohammed na the hand. Every month, we get the monthly support within the give for assistance. And if like I explain so for this medical side, if Mohammed sick, although not all the time with the reports to them, because at times something will be something head heart or in belly heart, you call say Sudu Mohammed sick or in belly the heart. You self as a foster parent, you get for play your role towards that picking day. So we self can play with your role and treat them. Or something malaria, we go make and treat them. But for that particular side day, that support will they get them. And that monthly visit, they always they come for can see how Mohammed they do and how we self they do with Mohammed. I decided for be foster parents because of like how I talked before. The sorriness where you see towards other person picking. Then you remember your own. Say this picking where you get. If you charm something, you go give your own picking. But when you look at that person picking, the way it is strained, if you get for help them, take can make you help them.
St. George Foundation was actually established in 2004 for vulnerable kids, because we know after the war we had a lot of vulnerability in terms of children, women and other families. Children became separated, other children become unaccompanied. So St. George actually saw the need so that we are able to see how we're able to connect children back with their families. So this center was established so that most of those children found on the streets we are taking there for rehabilitation. And in that rehabilitation, most of the children, we actually document their cases, where they came from, their families, and we provide food, shelter, medical for some of the children. And one of the key things St. George Foundation is actually doing is what we call family treating and reunification, because this is not an orphanage, but it is an interim care center, because all of us, we actually need our families. So these children, based on their cases, we are able to reunify them to their families. And since that time up to now, St. George Foundation has been in operation for the past 17 years. And we don't work in isolation. We work with the Family Support Unit, we work with the Ministry of Social Welfare, we work with other partners, including Sudu, so that children are placed with families. Family placement is the bedrock of our work, and Sudu is playing an immense role to see that children are better placed with families. Many people who have grown up here in Freetown will tell you that I was not raised by my own parents. My parents actually passed away when I was little. So, by them being placed with other families who actually raised them up, I think we have to compliment the effort of Sudu.
Sudu is a passion because I am one of the children that we are serving, in the sense that I I was also an orphan. Well, I am an orphan, but I was adopted during the Sierra Leone Civil War. So I was one of the fortunate young people to find a family. And sometimes that can be difficult because you'll go into a family that may not be able to love you as they love their other children, as we see a lot in Sierra Leone. But I was fortunate enough to be adopted into a family that just made me feel right at home, which is how I thought of Sudu. When I thought about what it was that I experienced at the core, it wasn't because of richness or anything like that. It was because of the love and everyone in my family showing me like this is, you know, my home. And so with Sudu, that's how I founded it. I thought about what word conveys, like, what is it that I want to provide for these children? So in Fula, Sudu means home or house. And so I decided that what I want to give to these children is a home.